Operation Return to Sender. What was the goal of that operation?
We had a predetermined list of targets. They crossed the border illegally, then they're coming with us.
It was out of control. There's a limit on their ability to arrest people without a warrant.
Was Border Patrol at any farms in Kern County?
Yeah, Border Patrol was on farms.
Pues claro, salgo al pendiente, no miedo, porque sea lo que me arriesgo, o sea, yo ya sé.
If we don't have a workforce, we don't have a domestic food supply.
Anywhere in that area, it's game on. Game on with the green team.
How many agents are in the El Centro sector?
We can't give exact numbers on that, but a little over 1,000. We're okay with migrants coming over. We just want you to do it the right way, which is coming through our port of entry.
How many crossings are you getting?
The last few days we had 0 entries here at the El Centro sector.
Is that normal over the 6 years you've been here? Is 0?
There are days where we had 0, but no, I think other days we've been busier. But at this current time, it is on a slower time for illegal entry.
I'm just curious, what is it like kind of having to be there for 10 hours?
This is our job. We have to be on guard and alert and vigilant.
It's all quiet on the U.S.-Mexico border. Here between Calexico and Mexicali, Border Patrol agents tell us they've had no illegal crossings in the last 3 days. The number of encounters in this sector is down 91% compared to the same month last year. With policy changes in both the U.S. and Mexico in early 2024, border crossings were already on the decline. Donald Trump's return to the White House saw those crossings drop to historic lows.
The crossings on the border down 93%.
Border crossings, they're at a 25-year low.
The Trump administration is saying that its sweeping government-wide crackdown on illegal immigration is fueling this dramatic drop.
And his election has ushered in a newfound confidence amongst Border Patrol units like this one, which has strayed far from the border to conduct sweeping deportations further into the interior of the U.S.
Border Patrol has been spotted stopping, citing, and fingerprinting people in Kern County this week.
On January 7th, 2025, the El Centro sector of the Border Patrol took part in what they referred to as Operation Return to Sender, which saw over 65 Border Patrol agents travel roughly 320 miles from their headquarters to Bakersfield. Border Patrol says this operation was highly targeted against immigrants with criminal records. The 3-day operation resulted in the arrest of 78 people, mostly Mexican nationals, many of whom had lived in the United States for years, working as farm laborers in the many fruit orchards and packing facilities throughout the region. According to a lawsuit, 40 people were deported, some of them deported within days of being arrested. The raids were unique not just because they were carried out by Border Patrol rather than ICE, but also because of how they were carried out, casting a wide net at work sites and gas stations, rather than targeting individuals based on a criminal record. The operation was overseen by Chief Patrol Agent Gregory Bavino. Bavino is known to showcase the work of his agents through highly produced, fictionalized versions of their operations that he posts to social media, along with bold claims about the people he apprehends, often without any of the details to corroborate what he says. Bavino bills his unit as the premier sector of the U.S. Border Patrol.
This is indeed the premier sector in the U.S. Border Patrol. 20 sectors in the U.S. Border Patrol. We're creative, innovative in everything that we do. We also have 0 apprehensions on many days when we talk about what is coming across that border.
I was in Kern County when there was an Operation Return to Sender. What was the goal of that operation?
We had a predetermined list of targets, many of which, as you say, were prior deports, already had immigration history, criminal history.
The question of going to the gas station where field workers show up, the Home Depot where laborers are, when someone like a growers association says that they feel like laborers were targeted. These are places where people gather to go to work or look for work. Is this that you're also looking for just generally people who might be in the country illegally?
We didn't go to the citrus fields. We didn't go to any of the other fields. We did not conduct farm and ranch check. So I think for us targeting agricultural workers at their job, absolutely not. That has no merit. But when Border Patrol comes into contact with illegal aliens, you're going to get arrested.
Out of the people you arrested, how many of those people had criminal convictions?
Every single one of the 78 that we arrested were criminals. When you cross the border illegally, 8 U.S.C. 1325, illegal entry into the United States, so they were all criminals. Let's get that one out of the way here, right out of the box, Sergio. Every single one of them were criminals.
But I think the general public does see a difference between the paletero or the citrus worker and the fentanyl dealer, that they are not both on the same field.
If they cross the border illegally, then they're coming with us. They were under arrest, and they're coming with us.
This wide interpretation of Border Patrol's responsibilities has national consequences. U.S. Customs and Border Protection claim authority to search vehicles and vessels without a warrant within a reasonable distance from any external boundary of the U.S., including the entire coastline. The federal government defines this reasonable distance as 100 miles. That means that roughly 2/3 of the U.S. population, about 200 million people, live within this zone where Border Patrol claims a right to search and raid without a warrant.
Our area goes up through Central California all the way to the Oregon border. So anywhere in that area, we're going to go where that threat is and where we can do the most damage to bad people and bad things that we possibly can. Whether you're an illegal alien, a fentanyl smuggler, or any other type of transnational criminal threats, I'd self-deport right now. Just go ahead and self-deport, because the green team is on the job and it's game on. Game on with the green team.
The actions of Bovino's unit shows how this could play out, and how these operations cast a wide net in scooping up targets for deportation. This documentary report, in partnership between Evident and CalMatters, is the most comprehensive examination yet of Operation Return to Sender. And working with our partners at the investigative collective Bellingcat, we've compiled, verified, and mapped more than 50 videos taken by civilians that show Border Patrol's stops, arrests, and movements within this operation. Border Patrol's actions centered on known gathering points for immigrant laborers, like gas stations and a Home Depot parking lot. It also included stops along the highways that laborers take to and from their work and the vast farms and orchards outside the city. Bovino claims that Operation Return to Sender was a targeted enforcement against known criminals that had been flagged for deportation. But documents from CBP we obtained reveal that Border Patrol had no prior knowledge of criminal or immigration history for 77 of the 78 people arrested. Only one of the people arrested in the operation had a deportation order. Bovino also claims they never set out to target immigrant workers on private farmland. But at least one video we reviewed appears to show agents entering farmland to question workers. So we set out to learn the story behind it.
We just got to Bakersfield. We've been trying to go to the spots that Border Patrol hit. We know they went to a Home Depot, a gas station, here, the Mercado Latino. One place we haven't been able to verify is a place that Bellingcat found, a farm. They did find the woman who took this video and posted it on social media. They got her phone number. I called her. She's still working at a farm right now. We're gonna try to talk to her when she gets off work and see what she saw when Border Patrol came to her farm. Cuando llegó la migra, platícame, ¿qué pasó?
Estaba dentro del baño cuando escuché las patrullas y recio se oía porque como que era grava el camino. Entonces se oía las rodadas recio y se oía la patrulla que estaba sonando fuerte. Y pues yo dije, me asusté porque llegaron así, o sea, fue, no sé, en 2-3 minutos que pasó. Y pues, ¿qué está pasando? Pues migra. Me imaginé, o sea, ya nos cayeron.
Bovino says that Border Patrol agents entered the orchard while in pursuit of a man who had fled on foot, leaving behind 33 pounds of marijuana in the trunk. He also claims they did not conduct a farm and ranch check. But that's where accounts from the agents and the immigrant workers diverge. Yahaira says that once agents lost the person in the pursuit, they turned their attention to the field workers in the orchard, questioning them and asking for their names. When asked about this, Border Patrol refused to comment.
Nomás de oír que el jefe del Border Patrol los dijo varias veces, los dijo, nosotros no fuimos a ningún campo. ¿Cómo se siente oír eso? Que
Pues están mintiendo porque hay pruebas de que es verdad que sí llegaron. O sea, quizás no llegaron directo a buscarnos a nosotros, pero entraron a la huerta y nos intimidaron en sí porque fue impactante saber que donde tú estás trabajando entren, ¿no? O sea, ya se puede decir que ya estoy acostumbrada porque desde que llegué ha pasado esto. Entonces, vivo con ello, o sea, vivo. Y si me quedo en la casa, me voy a retrasar en mis pagos, mi familia ocupa dinero y pues por eso salgo, por la necesidad.
Y la semana que llegó la migra, esa semana, ¿seguiste trabajando?
Sí, no paramos, por la migración no paramos ni un día. Solamente cuando llueve paramos. Pues claro, salgo al pendiente, no miedo, porque sea lo que me arriesgo, o sea, yo ya sé, pero sí al pendiente de cuidarme, pues simplemente tener precaución.
Border Patrol's actions around farmland raise questions about how targeted these enforcement actions really were. They also strike at the heart of a crucial industry for California and the U.S., causing concern for farmers and industry groups.
Citrus does well here because we don't get the cold temperatures a lot of other parts of the country does. Everything comes from the field. Right now, most everything is picked and packed within about 2-3 days. It's being put on the line. It gets washed, and then it's graded where we sort the bad product from the good.
This is a highly specialized job. There is not an infinite pool of labor out here. Everything is 100% dependent on labor. "90% of fresh citrus in the marketplace comes from right here in California. We are reliable on a strong workforce."
On your farm, 85% of people don't show up. We're not just talking about you taking a hit financially that week. We're talking about the grocery stores.
It stays on a tree or stays in the ground. America does not have food to eat. This tree is the livelihood of our farms and our rural communities and of the county and of the nation.
January 7th, can you talk us through that? Did you remember?
At first, the information we received was that this was a targeted criminal activity, and so I'm like, okay, well that makes sense with Border Patrol coming this far up. Next day, started hearing a little bit more. It does not seem to be a targeted criminal activity just based upon what growers are seeing and observing.
We sat down with the chief agent, Gregory Bovino. He said we didn't do a farm and ranch check. He said we did not go onto any farms. Was Border Patrol at any farms in Kern County?
I know for a fact they were stationed on growers' property, not public property, but actual growers' property.
After we sat down with Gregory Bovino, the chief agent, he was quite clear that it was targeted against criminals, but we understood that he meant that the term criminal applies to anyone who's picking this field who doesn't have authorization to be here.
You know, we may have a different definition of a criminal activity. I can tell you the people that were here, that work in our operations, that have been here for some 30 years or so, hardworking people that don't deserve to be harassed. If they're going and targeting a rural operation like this, people that are getting up early in the morning to go work, those aren't drug dealers and people like that. So I would say that's it's not an efficient use of resources. If we don't have a workforce here in California and across the United States, we don't have a domestic food supply.
This wide net operation and the manner in which it was carried out has sparked yet another legal battle between the Trump administration's Department of Homeland Security and advocates claiming a violation of constitutional rights. The ACLU, on behalf of the United Farm Workers, have filed suit against the Department of Homeland Security to stop what they call unlawful arrests and deportations.
What did Border Patrol do January 7th?
They swarmed the highways and stopped people in agricultural areas, people who were just driving down the road because they were brown or because they looked like farm workers. It was out of control and it was not rooted in the law. To stop someone in a way where they're not free to go, Border Patrol, ICE, police, you have to have a reason to believe that that person is doing something unlawful. And looking Latino is not a reason to believe that someone is unlawfully in the country. Once we started to put the pieces together and learned about the ways that they had been stopping people and shipping them down to the border to coerce them into leaving the country without any hearing, without any due process, we knew we needed to act. We've asked the judge to issue an injunction, which means stop Border Patrol from violating the law in the way that they violated the law in this raid. We're not asking a court to intervene on any of Border Patrol's border operations. And then in terms of what are we asking Border Patrol to do, we're asking them to follow the law. What they did in this operation, it wouldn't have been lawful at the border, and it wasn't lawful in Bakersfield. The Constitution applies, and the federal constraints, the federal limits on Border Patrol's arrest authority applies, no matter where they are.
For now, this legal battle is playing out in federal court in the Eastern District of California. But the precedent set by sweeping arrests carried out by Border Patrol in the U.S. interior could have national impacts, setting the stage for the federal government to cast a wide net for mass deportations.
The operation in Boston, 370 apprehensions. Most of them were criminals, but many were collaterals.
You can't just arrest everyone. There's a limit on their ability to arrest people without a warrant. Because what we saw overwhelmingly in this raid is that the people who were picked up were longtime residents of Kern County and the surrounding areas. They had families. The ones who are now in Mexico are stranded, and the community is devastated. We're just asking the court to make sure Border Patrol follows the law and doesn't conduct another lawless operation like this that rips the community apart.